Well, hello. Thanks for joining us. It's going to be a little different today. Instead of riding, I'm doing a little work on the bike. So, just do a quick kind of overview. First off, I'm going to be installing the extender for the kickstand. I've got that. This is a unit by Hepco and Becker. So, yeah, you probably have seen them on other people's bikes and stuff, but if not, that just goes on the bottom there where the little plate is, so that when you're on this stuff, instead of digging in, it spreads that out and sits on top of it. And if you watched the Tillamook trip first video, you saw this one, which was something I made to fill in the gap because I was having a hard time finding those. And as I explained before, this stuff, whatever this red plastic is, it's really hard to bond to. So instead of trying to fight with this, that came in. So yay, I don't have to mess with it anymore. Otherwise, as you can see, Dee Dee needs a bath again. So I'm going to try out this stuff here I bought a while back. It's supposed to just spray on, rinse off. We'll see how it works. And of course, washing the bike, I have to redo the lube on the chain. But the big one I'm going to work on today is the little dry bag I just got from Nelson Rigg. Instead of strapping it on here and dealing with it, trying to get in and out of the bag, what I want to do is I want to build a little rack that'll just sit here, and that can sit on it and strap down. And as I showed in the last video, I haven't put up yet, but you'll see if you watch that one that this stays cool enough that having a rack above it won't be a problem for having luggage there. This doesn't get hot even after hours of riding. I can still put my hand on it. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm not sure excuse me, I'm not sure exactly how much we'll get done. As of right now, it looks like it's going to be a nice day. It's Washington. In 10 minutes it could be black skies and pouring. So we'll just kind of play it by ear. But I'm going to start with this rack because once I'm done with it, I'm going to have to paint it. And I don't know if I'll be able to install it today or not, but I want to at least get it put together. So I've got my brand new Robbie Layton members exclusive shirt and, decent clothes on today. So first thing I'm going to do is get on my coveralls so I don't ruin anything I'm wearing. And then I'm going to dig out the welding table because I'm going to need that. So I'm going to kind of move some of this stuff out, get the welder out, and I'll get situated, and then we'll bring you back because you don't need to watch all that boring stuff there. So we'll bring you back in a little bit. Okay, so while you were gone, I just got some stuff situated here. Gonna have to do some cutting. These are so long, if I put them on as a rack, they're gonna be way out. So I've got to cut them down. I'm gonna have to do some cutting and welding. Basically, the brackets I'm using, I have one here. These will go on the rack that it's already on there and then fit on the end of this on each end. So what I've got to do is I got to cut that off, and then because where this is going to be is in a curve, which won't fit in there right, I'm going to have to cut that off, then cut this where I need it, and then bring it together and weld it. So I'm just getting ready to make my cuts here. I know you're not supposed to use them with the guard removed, but it's not my saw, so I don't have a say in it. Oh, we'll have to go this way. I love clamping round things. I have to go that way with it. Well, I'm going to have to go in the garage, so the vise is in there. Okay, so now we have our piece that will possibly become a rack, assuming I haven't cut it wrong and ruined my chances of making it work, but we'll find out. One thing that's going to be a pain is these welds are going to take some interesting tacks. What I want, let's push you down here, is for this to kind of follow the...
What are you doing?
Working on a rack. So now I've got to adjust these angles so they meet up with these. And that one looks pretty close. I think grind a little off here. And actually, that might help. So, and I'm sure there's people out there that would just maybe done already, because they could take this piece of straight pipe and just measure this and go bend it and they're done. I don't have all that fun stuff, so. Okay, and some of you people are probably wondering how in the heck I'm seeing anything of value out of what I'm doing, but trust the process. I've been doing it this way for a while. Okay, so what we're working on right now is this is in the bracket on there, and it's due to the shape of my other rack, it's kind of canted forward. This has to go this way, so what I'm trying to do is make this made up without a big gap. So what I need to do, as I was saying, is get that, and you can see I'm on the right track. I've got that side. I just need to get it down to where there's not a gap on there. And actually, if I turn it this way, I don't know if you can see that there's a tiny gap, and that's probably close enough if the angle is right, which is the other half of this equation here. And I've got rubber bands on these clamps trying to hold them snug enough on here because they have a little rubber insert to keep them from moving around when they're tight. So I've got those rubber bands. That's what, if you were wondering why those are on there, that's to hold the clamps in place so I can hold these up and check them as I'm going. I think I'm going to have to go ahead and weld these two, because as these move, these angles are changing. So I need to get these where I want them. mark them so I can lay them down on the table, get them flush, and then I can just hit them with a weld and they'll stay oriented to each other properly instead of just flopping all over with what they're doing right now. Okay, so now okay. Okay, and it's not raining yet, but of course, clouds rolling in every time I move. There's more cloud. Okay, so now we have a single unit here. That'll help us get this lined up. And yes, it is hot, but it's not that hot. So, okay, so that looks good still. Let me go ahead and grind that off. And then we'll recheck the other side. Looks like it's going to take a little more grinding. Okay. Some people mark. Some people just visualize, and for me, it's generally a combination, but I tend more towards visualizing. Okay, so I think that is close enough. Now, what I was talking about before is trying to figure out how to do this part without damaging anything. Ideally, I would just take it off and do all of the welding off of the bike, but as I said before, for the tack welds, at least, it's going to have to be on here. I don't know how any of this is going to show up on there, but I think if I bring it down there a little, it'll help. Come on. I need to work at finding a better balance between darkening when I need it dark and still being able to see what I'm working on with the lens. That's why it's so damn hot. Okay. Alrighty. Now, I think I'm going to stop for a moment and put on my welding gloves because they work so much better than these ones. So I'm going to finish tacking a few more times, and then I'm going to go in and clean these up with the wire wheel on the grinder. Get the coating off and all that good stuff you're supposed to do with them. And then I'll finish welding it. I just want to make sure I have enough tack that it's not just going to blow it apart when I hit it with the wire wheel. And before I go in, I want to make sure that it'll actually still go in the clamps. Okay, so I think that's going to do for tacking. And like I was just saying, I want to make sure, oh yeah, it'll still clamp on there. So I'm going to go in, hit this with the wire wheel on the bench grinder. Okay, so I'm going to do my welding out here because there's still some of the zinc and stuff on there, but so I'm going to throw my welding jacket on, change gears here, get ready to just weld, and then I'm going to go ahead and zap all that on there. So let's go throw this at the grinder and come out here where it's a little lighter out. It's not perfect. Didn't expect it to be, but there's a pinhole here, pinhole there. And, but overall, looks okay. Looks like it'll fit okay. So now we just need to do a little cleanup. I'm going to go ahead and put the flap disc in here, clean this up a little more, and then I'll decide if I want to mess with doing anything further as far as, I don't think I'm going to weld anything, but see if I can just kind of smooth this out, get it a little cleaner, and then I'll get these off, get everything ready, and paint it up. Okay, well there it is. It says not perfect, not pretty in every minor detail, but it will certainly get the job done. So now I've just got to lay these out, figure out some way to do this so I can paint them. And I'll go ahead and do that, figure that out, and get them painted, and then while these are drying, I can move on to the next adventure in DD land. So I'll figure that out, and then I'll bring you back in a little while when I'm ready to move on to something else here. So as you probably guessed, let me wipe this and put the dust on here. The side stand extender goes on the side stand, kind of like that. Just gives it a bigger footprint in the soft stuff. Here, you can't see it because you're in the camera, but I actually have you on two selfie sticks because I was going to have a little fun earlier, but I broke my other selfie stick, so I made the observation that I have two now that have See, this is the one for the mount on the bar that's not on the bar anymore because I had to move it. So this can screw onto the one you're on and extend, and then I have another one, but that one's just a cheapy one. So I was going to put on all three of them, and you're like 15 feet away. But sadly, in the process of doing that, I popped the base piece out of the cheapy selfie stick. So, but you were still on the other one, so. Okay, now what they have here is this is where this sits in here, and there's two different styles. Mine is apparently the shallow one, so what they've included is a little spacer plate here. So this goes in there, and then you put the cap on so that this will clamp down tight on there. And they said in the instructions that for best results, put the double-sided tape on here. You would think by now 3M would have figured out a way to do this so you could actually get the red side off like you can get the white side off. Because it just goes and it's off, but the red side's like trying to scrape butter out of bread. It has always been that way, as long as I've been using this stuff. And then it static clings to you, so you can't even get rid of it once you get it off. Okay, so I don't know that this is actually necessary. I mean, obviously it's not going to fall off once it's clamped on, but I think the main purpose of this is to give something somewhat flexible in there, so that when you put this together and tighten it, see, now it seems like it's too thick. But the point is that it won't rattle and bounce around on there. It'll be held in place properly with the screws. So I am going to put this on and make sure that everything seems good. And then, assuming a positive result, which it appears is going to be the case, then I will go see if I can find anything other than red thread locker, because I know I have red thread lock, and I know I'm not going to put that on here because there might be a point sometime in the future where I actually want to take it off. Yeah, that looks like it's going to be good. I don't know how well that shows up on there. It's good and snug. I haven't tightened it down yet. And I want to be careful doing that because this is aluminum. You don't need 556 pounds of torque on aluminum. And the reality is I'm probably more likely to need anti-seize than thread lock on that. But being on a motorcycle, there tends to be vibration. So I'm not sure where green falls in the lineup. I could have swore I just came across some blue and some orange, which is why I didn't grab the orange when I was in town. Is this green? The label's green, but it looks more blue. Oh, okay, I guess it is kind of green. Per the mandate of some law I've never been able to find, they've put this extra screw right where it's under this, because putting it right here would do the exact same function without making it a pain in the rear to get to. So by the mandate of that law, which I don't know, maybe somebody can link it to me because I haven't been able to find it. But clearly every manufacturer on earth has been made aware of it. By that law, they have to make sure if there's a spot that can be a pain in the rear to put a fastener, they have to put one there. So I can get it kind of spun in there, but I can't really get to tighten it without going sideways like this. So I was hoping to avoid, because with aluminum it's easiest not to over tighten it when you go this way because you have a lot less leverage. So then just go around, make sure everything is good and snug, but not ripping the threads out of the aluminum tight. And this thing uses a fairly small Allen. So as long as you don't get ridiculous, you're screwing into aluminum, don't ever put an extender on your wrench, your Allen. Some of them have handles. Don't use those, because all those really do is make it so easy to over tighten and strip out the aluminum. And once you do that, then your day gets a lot longer. So that's done. Part of my 4,000 mile service is to inspect my breather tube here, which looks cruddy from the outside, but looking in here, there's nothing. If there's anything in here, you've got to pop this cap out and drain it. And then inspecting the brakes. Chain looks good still. Looks like all that de-icer and crud is off of the roads, so no rust on it this time after the ride. So that's nice to see. So what we're doing next is washing her. And it's been a while, as you can probably tell from the dust on the bottle. I bought this thinking it was like detailer. So basically it says spray it on, let it foam, wash it off. So I'm gonna go ahead and set you guys up in here, just so I can avoid hitting you with the hose and blowing you over and breaking my camera. Let me hook the hose up and get it ready, and then I'll go ahead. I'm going to leave this on here because there's no reason to pull it off, really. Okay, so we're going to see how that works. Pardon me, my nose is running here, as usual. We're going to try this out, see how it works, and then I've got my wash stuff, and I have a brush I bought for the bike. As I said last time, all the nooks and crannies didn't get cleaned. I have a feeling I might be pleasantly surprised. I don't know, can't say for sure, but I have a feeling I'm going to have to wash the bike after I wash the bike with this stuff. So let's see how we can do here. I can't say for certain yet, but I can say that it actually looks like it did a lot better than I thought it would. Yeah, my initial assessment wasn't very positive because of some of the components I was looking at and the fact that nothing seemed to be changing with them. But it actually does seem like it's doing a half decent job as far as the spray on, spray off product. You're never going to get a perfect job because some things are going to require a little scrubbing. I'm taking the risk on this just to see how it works for myself and everybody else, because sometimes stuff like this will attack your custom decals. Or this actually looks like it's doing. I must say I'm pleasantly surprised. As I said before, it's not perfect. There's still some stuff here and there, but as far as down like in the skid plate and the road grime that was all over the front of the engine, it looks like most of that's gone. It didn't clean anything off of the oil filter that I can see, which is what I was originally assuming meant it wasn't doing anything. The big question, is it a single step? I mean, it describes itself as spray it on, wash it off. Would I say that qualifies? Surprisingly, yeah. It actually did a lot better job than I thought. No product on earth is going to spray on and sit for a second and then rinse off 100% of everything, but this came pretty close. So my biggest issue with this is this really poorly designed bottle. So this is Bike Bright Motorcycle Spray Wash. See if I can get this. We overpriced it, so please don't steal it. Thing off of here. I was hoping to find a website or something. The part number on this is DS700030. It says it's made in the U.S. The company is in Cleveland, Ohio. I don't know if that's their part number or the dealer. Okay, here it is. I have a feeling that was the dealership I got it from that stuck this label on, because it's right over their info. So bikebright.com. There we are. And that's B-R-I-T-E, not spelled correctly. So www.bikebright.com. So would I recommend this? Yeah. I mean, if that's what you're looking for is a bike wash that you can spray on and rinse off, we'll do a tour again. You can see it didn't really touch anything on the oil filter. So yeah, I don't know if that's because the oil filter, I don't know, maybe had some oil coating it, and that is why it didn't get clean. You can see in here all of the little crevices and nooks, crannies back in here where I couldn't even get to before. It's pretty clean. There's some stuff in here I didn't get. I don't know if that's because I didn't spray in there or if it was too sticky. But overall, down in here you can see what I was saying about if I had put that on and then used the brush on the wheel, that would all be gone. But as far as the bright work, the body work, the frame, all that stuff, it did a pretty good job on. The dirt and stuff that was on the brake calipers is pretty well gone, and I don't know how well it shows up in there, but there was a lot of road grime built up inside the skid plate before, and it's pretty much gone. And you can see as it's drying, it's not perfect, but yeah, I would still say, yeah, it's a go. It got most of the road grime off. It looks pretty good. So yeah, I would recommend it. It was $12 when I got it. It's been sitting around for a while. Like I said, I don't know if it, I would imagine it's probably a little more now. Where you would go to get it, I don't know. I imagine on their website, they probably have a link to find retailers that have it. I got it at a Harley dealer. Because I had a gift card for the Harley dealer, and that was about the only thing I could find there that I could use since my Harley was no longer with us. I'm checking on my old flat repair. No bubbles, so it's still holding. So now, like I said before, let's go ahead and open this up. So it's got the neoprene flap here, and you can see it did a pretty good job at keeping almost all of that. I mean, the zipper, there's a little bit, and that was from when I was rolling it. It carried that up there. But the zipper itself is actually still dry. And that zipper is water resistant itself, so it's not entirely dependent on that neoprene flap to keep the water out. The zipper is water resistant. This lock is just the right size, so it's a little snug in there if these aren't perfectly aligned. So let's see. Looky there. Not a drop. I discovered yesterday on my ride, which I haven't posted yet as of right now, but my Noru riding gear, the black riding gear, if you've watched my Tillamook trip, that gear that I was wearing under my rain gear. When I washed it from that trip, I found, oh, it all says it's waterproof. No. So my Nelson Rigg rain gear is waterproof. The Noru gear is waterproof. So if you ride past like a lake, it doesn't get wet. That's what they mean, I think. So lesson learned, I keep it in the side bag anyway, and I ended up stopping and putting it on, which you'll see if you watch that video. But the lesson is that now I know if it starts sprinkling, stop and put on the rain gear, because that stuff's not. So at this point, I got to get in my side bag and get out my chain wax and just go ahead and recoat that, just because it's clean. I washed it now. It needs to be waxed. And then I don't know. These look dry. I'm doing here where it's not what I'm actually working with. So yeah, it looks dry. I don't know if I'm going to mess with putting that on right this second, but once I'm done with the chain and that, I'll take a look at that. The pipe is hanging in here. It had a little bit of run on it, and I don't really care. So here's the pipe. This is the bottom of it. This is the top. And that dry bag will sit on there and strap down, and I'll have to try it out just to see how it fits. But here's Dad's Yamaha. This was almost my Yamaha, but it's been having a lot of problems lately, and this is why I'm trying to get that Marauder together for him, because that way he'll have something else to ride and he can take his time figuring out what the heck is going on with this time. So I am going to go ahead and get this lubed, and then we'll go from there. I don't know if I'll bring you back or what we'll do, but so I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera though, and then maybe I'll bring you back and check out the rack if I get it put on. So until then. Okay, welcome back. That only took me a couple of minutes, and I didn't bother filming it because it wasn't much to it. So there's the rack. Said nothing special. I didn't bother filling in all the little imperfections and stuff. I may revisit this in the future, but for now it'll do. Like I said, it's just going to have that dry bag sitting on here and strapped on, so it just it's all it really needs to be. But at this point I've got to put the mount for the 360 back on here because it was right here. And the golden rule of everything is if you do something, it's going to be right in the way of what you did before. So now I'm just trying to figure out where I want to put this. I don't know. I kind of wish I had another one of these, this piece I could put here so I could put it front or back. But I don't know. I may just end up putting it here. This wing nut on here does both functions. And then there's a Allen screw. You can take this piece off if you need to. And then it's shouldered. It only goes into that point and stops. And then this, like I said, this pulls this down and locks it. And this, I don't know if it'll show it because this is the invisible selfie stick. So, see, it even says Action Invisible Selfie Stick, but that one is an invisible selfie stick also. But anyway, this is the one. It's threaded so you can put it on here. This is the one you're riding on when you're on the road with me. Okay, yeah. So that's got room. So that'll work. And then of course this goes on here. And then this goes. And then that little Allen wrench goes in. They've got a little hole in here. Right here. So you just use that and get it good and tight, and then it'll rotate all around anyway. So really, that thing is so sensitive. And then this goes up just like the one you're on. I think I might try it at that angle. It's a little less straight up and down. Might give it a little less waggle. Let's see. There you go. There's a preview. Yeah, I think that's going to work. So I don't know. I got 350 Robbie Layton stickers now. I was thinking of putting one on here. I don't know where to put one. Because they're round. I don't know, maybe I'll clean that off and put one right there. On the off chance Robbie Layton ever actually watches this video, I could take a Robbie Layton sticker in that color. I would put it right here. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Now you can see it's dry. You can see it didn't get perfect like I said, but it did get better in there. Got a lot of the stuff out of the skid plate, and even just spraying that on there and letting it sit for a minute and then hitting it with the brush would have been a whole different story on all this stuff. So Overall, I still say go ahead and go for it because, well, you can see for yourself, this is the after and you saw the before. So it got a good amount of that stuff off of there, just spray and rinse. So now I just got to wrap it up. I'm pretty much done for today here. Pop the jack or the stand out of here, clean up my mess over there, and get all my stuff resituated and take her home. And I'm in the truck also because I had to bring some big stuff over, so I still got to deal with that. But we're pretty much done. Oh, that's what I was going to tell you. These brackets, I bought these for something else. I was going to build a pannier rack for this thing, and I just decided not to. This was from a place called Maker Pipe. So Maker Pipe, I don't remember the web address. They have a website that I ordered this stuff off of. Anyway, yeah, so if that looks like something that you could use for something you're working on, that's their name, Maker Pipe. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thanks for watching, and like and subscribe, comment down below, and we'll see you next time. Maybe we'll be out on the road again. Still haven't picked a destination for the next video, but I'm open to suggestions, so hit me up down in the comments, or my email contact is in the channel information, so you can send me a message if you have an idea. I'm trying to stick on the west coast of Washington, northwest Oregon area for right now, just because beyond there it gets a lot more complicated with hotels and all that good stuff. Of course, I have some planned outside of this area, but a lot goes into this. So like I said before, a little channel like mine, I only have a few subscribers, and every like is a huge difference for us. So if you can take a moment, hit that like button, and I look forward to making some more videos for you in the future. Thanks for watching.